Four figures recently surfaced in the public eye, resolving a dispute between two online factions. Roughly for 2 years in a row, $528,000, $574,000, $493,000, and $350,000. A no social media survey was generated. Those numbers, they weren't produced by any ESPN debate segment. And podcast take, no viral moment, no fan vote. A formula was used in a collective bargaining agreement. 2 years of verified professional data were processed by a performance algorithm. Production among several participants implemented a set of mutually agreed upon contractual requirements. Two then printed those four figures on a formal pay document, and as soon as that document was, every brand, league executive, and sponsor that is currently assessing was informed by Angel Reese's public response. Women have all the information they require about how she responds to signals from the market that she finds objectionable. However, before we address the answer, you must comprehend the mechanism because Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese have different salaries. It's not the narrative that everyone is portraying it as. The gap is a symptom, and the system that created it is the story. And the whole discourse surrounding these two players completely shifts once you comprehend how that system really works. The new WNBA collective bargaining agreement contains a provision that most people covering. I haven't taken the time to fully explain this story. Your social media following is irrelevant to IT. IT does not account for the number of times your name appeared in a Twitter trend. IT doesn't react to viral moments or public pressure campaigns, or the player that the algorithm chose to promote that week. IT links the value of your contract to your verified all WNBA output during the period of your rookie contract. That clause was activated by Clark, Reese. The $178,000 base salary gap can be fully explained mathematically by that. Additionally, the more you comprehend how it functions, the more difficult it is to observe Reese's public response and take any aspect of it seriously. The EPIC clause is the name of the provision. Outstanding work on the first contract, IT was included in the updated CBA. As an accelerator based on performance, this agreement's designers listened to criticism for years. That players who entered the WNBA and produced at an elite level right away were not sufficiently compensated by the salary structure. Regardless of output, everyone advanced at about the same rate under the previous system. A player who was named to 3 All-WNBA. During her first 4 seasons, she was moving up the pay scale at almost the same rate as a player who made no contributions. Beyond remaining on the roster, the EPIC clause was intended to address that issue. The cutoff point is obvious, and there is no opportunity for interpretation. During your first 3 professional seasons, receive all WNBA recognition, and the league puts you on a quicker route to the highest contract eligibility. You progress through the pay scale more quickly than the typical timeline permits. The language is purposefully designed to reward observable output, not potential, not a college reputation, not a draft position by itself, documented. Verifiable, professional production was confirmed by the selection committee. Clark was named to the WNBA first team. During her first season, the clause was activated just 1 year into her career. The recipe contained everything it required. The acceleration started right away. It's crucial to realize that Clark is not the This clause has only been effective for one player. One name is not the foundation of the system. The proof is Aaliyah Boston. That completely eliminates any discussion of favoritism. The contract jump for Boston is the number that ought to receive more attention in this conversation since it illustrates the clause. Working under entirely different conditions and using an entirely different player profile, and achieving precisely the outcome that the CBA architects had in mind. Her income dropped from $94,000 to $574,000. That is a formal, contractual reclassification rather than a raise in the traditional sense of the word. Of her total professional worth based on 2 seasons of production that has been verified and documented, consecutive WNBA selections. Throughout her first 2 seasons as a professional, along with the kind of reciprocal influence that radically changed how Indiana plays on both sides of the court, her presence altered the defensive strategies opponents had to use. It altered the offensive post-entry angles and the rebounding dynamics that each team in the league could use. Had to take into consideration their game planning against Indiana. Those choices are not taken lightly by the selection committee. All of the league's production metrics are being assessed concurrently when Boston achieved consecutive. The clause was triggered by all WNBA selections, and it was reflected in the salary document between $94,000 and $574,000. The system functions precisely as intended by its designers. That context is very important. When you consider where Reese ended up, the claim that the formula is biased in favor of Clark in particular disappears as soon as Boston's number is placed on the adjacent table. There is no name for the clause. Preference. It has a production threshold that is applied consistently to each player. It assesses in the 2024 draft. Reese was selected 7th overall. The draft position was really productive for her right away. IT increased her pay from $75,000 as a rookie to $350,000, placing her above the baseline salary floor. In the WNBA's new structure, draft slots are important, and her place in that draft gave her a significant advantage over players who were chosen later. However, this is the limit of the draft slot. You reach a certain point with it, after which it ceases. The Epic Clause pathway, the second accelerator, requires all WNBA honors. The draft slot is not satisfactory. That circumstance, performance does. Additionally, Reese has not earned a single penny in 2 full professional seasons. Every WNBA selection, regardless of level, nothing, not even the second or third team. That is not how the media portrays it. That is a choice made by the selection committee by individuals who assess production metrics throughout every player in the league based on a predetermined set of standards. It is their responsibility to determine which players excelled during that particular season, following 2 complete seasons of professional. Reese has not been named by that committee as one of those basketball players. The salary sheet is located here. Becomes genuinely awkward for anyone in the Reese camp who wishes to portray this as a favoritism of Clark or an outsider problem. Narrative. The second overall pick in that same 2024 draft class, Cameron Brink, is currently valued at $493,000. The third overall pick in that same class, Sonia Catron, is valued at $436,000 to Reese, ranked 7th overall, is $350,000, which is less than both of them. Her salary is not keeping up with her own draft class. Players chosen ahead of her in the same draft has advanced on the contract ladder following an equivalent number of professional time. That information became public the same week that Reese made the decision to speak out most about the disparity between both her number and Clark's. The timing completely undermined her argument rather than strengthening it. To comprehend how 2 players, those who entered the professional league in different draft classes, had such drastically different financial trajectories after a brief period of professional experience, you must go back farther than the updated CBA. You must return to the original point of divergence, since there was no contract at the beginning. Negotiation room. It began in college, and anyone who paid enough attention could see it. Clark had a playmaking profile and 62 collegiate records when he entered the professional ranks. That before she ever entered a WNBA facility, scouts had been analyzing for years. Her performance at college wasn't. It was a particular type of offensive orchestration that altered how defenses organized their game, volume for volume's sake. Plans at the federal level, teams were attempting to solve a playmaking system rather than merely preventing Clark from scoring. That simultaneously improved everyone in her immediate vicinity. Defending against that is a different issue. And it called for a different level of strategy development than the majority of college athletes ever produce. She didn't take advantage of that reputation when she joined the WNBA. She went out and recorded everything. New production on a professional scale, assist, score, and playmaking efficiency records for rookies. First team All-WNBA in year 1, an all-star pick, a spot on the Team USA roster, where her effectiveness and her ability to score put her in direct competition with the world's top players, not just those in the league. Each and every one of those achievements was monitored, confirmed, recorded, and ultimately represented in a contract formula that is solely concerned with your actual output on the floor. Reese's initial 2 professional seasons conveyed a significantly different narrative. The headline was improving. She was obtaining boards at rates that attracted notice, and the box score totals appeared significant at first glance. However, when analysts dug further, the image rapidly became more complex as it delved into the underlying numbers. Much of her offensive, her own missed field goal attempts directly contributed to her rebound totals. She had an overall field goal percentage of 39% in Season 2. When she was within 5 feet of the basket, her conversion rate was less than 50%. The conversion rate decreased from 5 to 9 feet to 13%. She had a 31% layup conversion rate during a season in which she made the third most layup attempts in the. That percentage is a significant inefficiency for the entire WNBA. Her offensive game has a structural issue that produces the unsuccessful attempts that result in some of the rebound totals she is given credit for. The rebounds appear to be significant. Within the box score, the shots that made those rebounds possible reveal a completely different picture of what her. In fact, her presence was boosting the offensive effectiveness of her team. Meanwhile, Clark's production was producing effects that were completely absent from her own box score, and that's what the analytical picture that, when you look past the obvious statistics, makes the comparison between these two players so biased. WNBA defenses couldn't afford to let Clark go without giving